Welcome back to The Vocalist. Today we are listening to a classic. This is the song All By Myself, sung by Eric Carmen. Here we go.
When I was young, I never needed anyone, and making love was just for fun. Those days are gone. Living alone, I think of all the friends I've known. Telephone, nobody's home.
We're going to take this in sections because I love this song, so I don't mind hearing it repeated over and over again. Back to the beginning.
When I was young.
He has such a silky smooth voice, and I love the way he starts each line because we get a little bit more bass in his sound. In this case, saying the word when, we have that W, when, that's elongating the vocal tract, so it's helping amplify some of that really rich tone, but it's so smooth and so velvety, and I love that he's not pushing and pressing more air pressure into this sound. It just feels so comfortable.
I never needed anyone.
Even the way he sings I never needed, I think I've heard a lot of covers where singers will put a glottal on I, and he has just such a beautifully balanced onset so that we're getting the adduction that the glottal would provide without an overemphasis on that first sound.
I never needed anyone, and making love was just for fun.
Tiny bit of texture there, and I think that's such a beautiful little sprinkling of character when you think of the grandeur of this song, to find moments of nuance and variety, but not so much so that it takes the listener out of the piece as a whole. You know, this really, especially at the beginning of the song, I feel like the text is just so important. I try to think of songs as it's the first time you're hearing it. And that's hard to do when a singer has lived with a song for as long as some singers have. But if you can imagine, okay, the first time this listener is hearing a song, what do I need to bring their attention to? And to my taste anyway, I think the lyrics are really essential in this piece. And so he's allowing his voice to just be the most beautiful, almost like a sailboat, just like across some shimmering waters, just delivering this gorgeous text and creating such a beautiful scene, but with, like I said, a little variety every once in a while.
And making love was just for fun. Those days are gone. Living alone, I think of all the friends I've known. But when I dial the telephone, nobody's home.
I also love how contained everything is. He's not hyperextending his mouth right now. It just Obviously we're in mid-range, and this is just a really comfortable speaking range for him as well, but I do appreciate that obviously if he were to overextend his mouth, we would get more sound, and so I like the containment. I have not seen this performance, and I am kind of very excited by what we get to talk about here. I have discussed jaw tension before on the channel. It's not inherently bad. You will see a lot of singers who pull the jaw forward. You'll see singers who allow the jaw to shake with vibrato. A lot of things happen with the jaw and the tongue, specifically in singing. The reason I appreciate seeing this in a singer of his caliber is I just feel like it makes it okay. Now, in my coaching, I always will, like, if I notice jaw tension, I try to help singers release that, because I think it opens up a lot of doors and a lot of possibilities and a lot of ease in one's singing. But it doesn't have to be a thing of shame or called bad, or someone saying like, oh, that's terrible technique. No, like, we all have innate habits within us that help us produce the sounds we make every day, and some of them create more resistance to certain sounds, but it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. So the reason it's easy to point it out in this particular clip is we saw how neutral his jaw was in mid-range. Far forward he pulls that. Now, if you are someone who is experiencing jaw tension, the first thing I kind of point out with jaw positioning is how you're opening your jaw. A lot of, the dentist says open wide. Yeah, we can all pull our jaws pretty far down, and in order to do that, there's a slight, almost like an unhinging that happens. It pulls forward first, at least it does on me. Everyone's anatomy is a little different. For a lot of singers, it pulls forward first before it goes straight down. Now, when I talk about that down and back position, it's not pulling forward. It also doesn't open as wide. So if you put your fingers by your ears here and open really wide, you can kind of see my fingers moving in. Hopefully, the screen's so small I can't tell if it's picking up, but hopefully you can see my fingers are moving into that little socket. If I go down and back, I'm not creating that same socket, that same little gap. So starting there, I think, is a good place for singers who are experiencing jaw tension. It's also good, you can massage your masseter muscles if you find they're getting tight. I can never remember. It's like something pterygoid or so. I'll have to look it up. But there are a lot of different areas of tension, and depending on how you produce sound, how you speak, how you chew, if you grind your teeth at night, we all have different kinds of tension that can surface. And the other factor is sometimes jaw tension is actually a side effect of tongue tension, and it's also can be kind of reversed. We've talked about the hyoid bone before, and it's kind of like the chicken or the egg. When everything sort of meets at the hyoid bone, it's hard to determine what's causing what, which one's first. So we just try and tackle both of them. We'll keep going. I don't know. Obviously, this is a live performance. I don't know if it was just like one song and done or how he was on this particular day. In recordings that I've heard previously, I feel like the main chorus here is usually more sustained, all by myself, and I feel like we're getting an interruption of sound here. So that combined with seeing that jaw movement, I wonder if he's experiencing some fatigue. But I also haven't seen, I think, any other live performance from him, so I don't know if this is just something he does regularly, and perhaps the studio version he recorded differently. I don't know. I'll have to do some research, but we're gonna keep going.
Sometimes I feel so insecure, and love so distant and obscure remains the cure.
I love the timing on that last line, second to last line, the penultimate line we just heard, because it felt like, again, he was focusing on the text and he wasn't trying to keep everything super aligned with the beat. This song is so great. Like, what other song? Okay, there are probably a few, but not many. Other songs where you can hear the same melody, the same theme over and over and over and over and not get sick of it. Like, you just want it to keep going on repeat. This is a great example of that. I appreciate that we're getting a little bit of agility, and you can see that is happening in the larynx because we're not getting any additional movement from the jaw or the tongue. So just those few little turns are happening with the muscles in the larynx. one. That was so beautiful. I know I've said this a million times. I just love watching pianists play. Partially because that was the instrument I grew up learning, but also there's so much skill that, yeah, and technique. I mean, there's just so much to being a good pianist that I think sometimes people take for granted. I mean, I take that for granted with a lot of instruments. So it's not just piano, but because I learned a few things about piano, even when the solo started, hearing the notes he chose to emphasize, as opposed, I don't know if it was like a broken chord or arpeggio in the left hand, but those bass notes, oftentimes in contemporary performances, like genres, I feel like the bass notes always get brought out. And for him to resist that and really lay off the dynamics so that he could bring out a specific melody, I think was really beautiful to hear. Yeah. I won't elaborate. I might just go back and watch it again. But for now, we're gonna keep going.
When I was young, I never needed anyone.
I gotta be honest, I feel like there's a new sense of calm in his singing after he just got through that piano solo. And I don't know if playing the piano itself like allowed him to access this. I don't know if he was nervous about this. It didn't seem like he was nervous. Sometimes if he was nervous, I could potentially see that relief aiding in a different sort of approach to his singing. But there's this serene sort of added calm in his singing right now that I did not get the first time around.
When I was young, I never needed anyone.
I'm sorry, vocally it sounds more controlled, like his breath and the breath utilization is just so smooth.
And making love was just for fun. Those days are gone.
I want to say two other things about tension in singing. As I already mentioned, it's not a bad thing. So you might be asking yourself, well, then why try and fix it? Tension puts a bit of a damper on a singer's sound. And sometimes you don't recognize the degree at which that happens until you find that release. Gorgeous. like, I'll say it a million times over. I love his voice. I love what he did. I just think this is such a special song. But there's a part of me, after watching so many singers go through the process of eliminating tension, there's a part of me that wonders, what if his jaw didn't pull forward? And we'll never know. And like I said, it's such a good sound, so take this all with a grain of salt. But I think some of those top notes it's almost like, it's not that he hit a wall, but I feel like they were more contained than perhaps they could have been was there not some tension in the jaw. And so that's part one. Part two is, if you are kind of on a journey to eliminate jaw or tongue tension, I just want to remind you to be patient. It can click instantly for some singers, for most singers, because these are innate habits that have been built into our vocal production, into our training, into so much of our singing. It can take months to really unwind and sort of recalibrate, because that's the other thing. When you have been utilizing tension for so long, you have had to measure your breath pressure and airflow a certain way to achieve certain sounds and certain pitches. And I know in my own technical journey, there was a period of time, especially in grad school, where I was trying to release so much tension in my tongue and couldn't figure out for the life of me why I was singing sharp all the time. But that's because tongue tension had been such a core part of my singing. And again, it's not a bad thing. Like, some people love the sound that they are creating, and if you're not finding strain and you're able to achieve the sounds you want with ease, again, I fully understand not wanting to tackle something like that. But if you feel like you're encountering moments of difficulty that you don't believe should be there, and you think it's because of tension in your singing, it's worth exploring. So that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for this recommendation and for watching with me, and hopefully I will see you next time.